He didn't know about the changes in the deity realm of the ruins of End, but the immortal world was still stable. After being attacked by the 5 sages, the Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage became well-behaved and did not take the next step. Under the siege of the various factions, the demons were torn apart. The demons declined just like that. The demons hated the various factions and did not want to join the famous race. Therefore, they began to use the name of the ancient race 100,000 years ago. The sages had no objections to this. They were enemies with the Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage, not the demons themselves. Time passed quickly. Year after year passed. 1,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. Hanju opened his eyes and stretched. The chaos did not affect the heavenly Tao. Everyone didn't even know what was happening outside. Hanju checked his emails and couldn't help but be moved. Your good friend Evil Heavenly Emperor was attacked by a mysterious Tao Devil, X73629. Your son Han Tuo was attacked by a mysterious Tao Devil, X2930. Your good friend Ancestor Shitian was attacked by an inauspicious evil, X90293. Your disciple Zhou Fan was attacked by an inauspicious evil, X1594. Your good friend Heavenly Venerate Xian Du was attacked by a mysterious Tao Devil, X928202. So many attacks. Inauspicious evil. Mysterious Tao Devil. Hanju noticed that Heavenly Venerate Xian Du was also attacked. He looked up and discovered that Heavenly Venerate Xian Du wasn't in the Tao field outside the 33rd heaven. He had probably gone to the deity realm of the ruins of End earlier. The deity realm of the ruins of End was in chaos. Hanju was amused. He didn't expect the curse to have such an effect. Although this matter would harm many innocent people, he couldn't care less. I would rather see others die than die myself. With the hatred of the chaotic deity, he would find trouble with Hanju sooner or later. In any case, the chaotic deity would die sooner or later. Once the deity realm of the ruins of End was in chaos, they would no longer scheme against the heavenly Tao in a short period of time. No wonder the Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage was so quiet. Sigh, I'm still the greatest contributor to the heavenly Tao. Hanju sighed. O Tao Ancestor, if you see this, you must remember my kindness and not scheme against me. After reading the emails, Hanju looked at the immortal world. Ever since Li Daokong attained the Tao, Hanyu had been considered to have graduated. Now, he had traveled the immortal world alone and his reputation had soared. This kid was already an immortal emperor. Not bad. Hanyu hid in a forest and cultivated. He didn't encounter any trouble for the time being. The current immortal world had already surpassed the immortal world from before the calamity. It was mainly because the sages took turns preaching the Tao, causing the cultivation level of the cultivators to increase very quickly. Who would have thought that 100,000 years ago, the immortal world was still barren? Hanju came to the second Tao field and started to pay attention to the fiend celestial candidates. Young Du had already left the Earth immortal world. Hanju calculated that this fellow was not in danger. He even obtained many great opportunities and had great providence. As for the other fiend celestial candidates, only 2 were still alive. They were called Ren Gang and Yin Hongchen. Yin Hongchen was a woman. Her appearance was not devastatingly beautiful, and she did things extremely ruthlessly. She usually did not take the initiative to provoke others, but if she discovered that someone was a threat to her, she would definitely eliminate them as quickly as possible. Ren Gang was filled with righteousness and could easily make friends. Just like facing Yang Du, Hanju didn't expose his identity. After making arrangements for the 2 of them, Hanju walked out of the Taoist temple to visit Murongqi, the Crimson Fox, and the heavenly constellation Fiend Celestial. Their cultivation levels increased very quickly. The spirit Qi in the Tao field was even richer than in the immortal world. Hanju explained the Tao to them alone. The great Tao of extreme origin contained the profundities of all the great Tao and could allow them to gain some insights. 10 years later, Hanju returned to the 100-peak Immortal River and continued cultivating. Dark Forbidden Zone. The evil Heavenly Emperor sat on a huge meteor and cultivated. Black chi surrounded him, and his aura was terrifying. At this moment, a black shadow appeared in front of him and knelt down. Your Majesty, the deity realm of the ruins of End is already in chaos. The 7 Tao sage was attacked by a powerful Tao devil and was severely injured. More and more living beings began to escape towards the heavenly Tao, the black shadow said in a low voice with excitement. The evil heavenly emperor slowly opened his eyes. He frowned and muttered to himself, looks like the chaotic deity has really perished. Who is the dark forbidden lord? He's actually so powerful. He had once suspected that Hanju was the Dark Forbidden Lord, or that Hanju's master was the Dark Forbidden Lord. Now, he didn't think so anymore, because the chaotic deity was too powerful. The chaotic deity who controlled the chaotic order was a true great Tao divine spirit. Even if the heavenly Tao sages came to the chaos, they had to follow the rules. With the death of such an extraordinary existence, the evil heavenly emperor first thought of the long-lost Tao ancestor. Only the Tao ancestor could kill him. Your Majesty, should we take action? This is the best opportunity for the heavenly court to recruit troops. The Black Shadow asked. The Black Shadow replied, after the chaotic deity died, the inauspicious evil that restricted the little heavenly Tao all surged towards the deity realm of the ruins of End. The providence of the little heavenly Tao is rapidly increasing. Where's the ancient desolate? It's said that more than 10 transcendent Tao experts are guarding it. The inauspicious evil and the Tao devils are all rushing to the ancient desolate like mad. Your Majesty, what is hidden in the ancient desolate? The Black Shadow was very curious. The situation was too abnormal. The evil heavenly emperor did not answer, but his eyes revealed worry. By the way, recently, 2 heavenly Tao life forms have trespassed into the heavenly court's territory. I've already made a move to capture them. The providence of these 2 is not simple. They are very similar to the chaotic fiend celestials. I don't dare to kill them easily. Your Majesty, please make a decision. The Black Shadow saw that the evil heavenly emperor did not want to reveal anything and changed the topic. Oh? Chaotic fiend celestials? Bring them here. Yes. The Black Shadow vanished. 5 minutes later, the Black Shadow appeared in front of the evil heavenly emperor. He waved his right hand, and 2 figures fell to the ground. They were Han Tuo and Yi Tian. The 2 of them were wrapped in a black aura and could not break free. Yi Tian cursed. What are you doing? If you want to kill or torture me, say something. Han Tuo looked around warily, his gaze landing on the evil heavenly emperor. The evil heavenly emperor's appearance was clearly not righteous, making him even more nervous. The evil heavenly emperor frowned when he saw Han Tuo. He waved his hand and said, Black Heaven General, leave first. Yes. The Black Shadow vanished again. Yi Tian also looked nervously at the evil heavenly emperor. He could sense that he was different from the enemies he had encountered in the past. Profound and mysterious. Han Tuo gritted his teeth and said, Senior, we just accidentally entered your territory. We have no ill intentions. Why are you holding on to us and not letting go? He had no choice but to bow his head. The evil heavenly emperor asked, What's your name? Han Tuo replied, My name is Tang Sanzang. Yi Tian glared at him. Taking advantage of me? The evil heavenly emperor smiled, and the terrifying aura around him retracted. He's really similar to that kid. Be it his looks or his mouth. The evil heavenly emperor's lips curled up slightly. He slowly stood up and said, Since you're here, don't even think about leaving. From today onwards, the 2 of you will serve me. Why should I serve you? Are you very strong? Tian shouted unhappily. He had always been the one taking in subordinates. He had never been anyone's subordinate. Previously, in the demons and the divine palace, the leaders had been polite to him. The evil heavenly emperor said calmly, I'm the previous heavenly emperor of the heavenly court. I've already attained the Tao. Tell me, am I strong? The previous heavenly emperor? Han Tuo was shocked. The current heavenly emperor was Feng Liang, and Feng Liang was his father's grand disciple. Was the evil heavenly emperor a friend or foe of his father, Hanju? The evil heavenly emperor seemed to see through his nervousness. Back then, before your father became an immortal, he was highly regarded by me. Your father even worked for me. Don't you want that? Han Tuo asked carefully, my father? Tian was surprised. Wasn't Han Tuo's father long gone? That's right. It's Hanju, the master of the hidden sect, the evil heavenly emperor said calmly. Han Tuo looked like Hanju. The evil heavenly emperor had just calculated the karma and actually couldn't deduce it. This meant that Han Tuo had a powerful background and could only be related to Hanju. Tian widened his eyes and exclaimed, your father is the sect master of the hidden sect? Why didn't you mention it before? The master of the hidden sect was a legendary figure in the immortal world. He was on par with sages and had once saved the myriad worlds in the universe. He had endless merit. Han Tuo smiled bitterly. I only learned of it not long ago. He looked at the evil heavenly emperor. He was still a little vigilant, but the other party directly told him about his relationship with Hanju. He naturally couldn't lie. Can you tell me about the past you knew my father? Han Tuo asked. The evil heavenly emperor smiled meaningfully and slowly sat down. Of course. This has to start before the heavenly Tao was restarted. At that time, the heavenly court controlled the myriad worlds in the universe. Your father was only a nobody in a mortal world. Han Tuo meditated and began to listen carefully. Tian was also very interested in Han Tuo's father and began to listen quietly. The evil heavenly emperor fell into a daze and recounted the past. After a long while, after the evil heavenly emperor finished speaking, Han Tuo and Tian were still immersed in the past. Tian jolted awake and suddenly asked, according to you, the sect master of the hidden sect only used a few 100,000 years to attain the Tao? Han Tuo also realized this, and his expression turned strange. Han Tuo's expression changed drastically. 300,000 years. If he was given 30,000 years, he might not be able to break through to the perfected zenith heaven golden immortal realm. Hanju, who was only 30,000 years older than him, was already a top-notch existence among sages. This difference... Oh, right, I've calculated. Hanju's Tao attainment timing was close to your birth date. In other words, it only took Hanju more than 30,000 years to go from a mortal to a sage, the evil heavenly emperor teased. He was also shocked. This kid... The evil heavenly emperor knew that Hanju's talent was extremely terrifying, but after thinking about it, it made his scalp tingle. Han Tuo and Tian fell into shock and couldn't extricate themselves for a long time. The evil heavenly emperor did not disturb them. He had to calm down himself. Han Tuo looked up and clenched his fists. You've nurtured my father. Then, I'll serve you. Can you let me catch up to my father? The evil heavenly emperor's expression did not change as he felt a little awkward. He was ashamed to say this. He knew his limits. It was impossible for his care for Hanju to help him attain the Tao. He himself had relied on the inheritance of the Dark Sage King to attain the Tao. The evil heavenly emperor said, I can't promise you directly. Your father's talent is unheard of. However, if you serve me, you will definitely obtain a huge opportunity. The opportunity far exceeds your growth in the immortal world. The immortal world is still the chessboard of the sages, but there are existences stronger than them in the dark forbidden zone. Now that the chaos is in chaos, it's time to fight for the huge opportunity. The two of you have the potential of chaotic fiend celestials. I will confer you the title of heavenly generals. There will only be 3 heavenly generals in the heavenly court. Your status will only be second to mine. Han Tuo and Yi Tian looked at each other and saw the anticipation in each other's eyes. Instead of messing around, it was better to follow the ancient heavenly emperor who had nurtured a sage. Yi Tian asked, "What's a chaotic fiend celestial?" The evil heavenly emperor looked at him deeply. "You are!" Yi Tian was stunned. Han Tuo was very calm. Yi Tian's potential was too ridiculous. Even if his father gave him a cheat, he almost couldn't catch up. Only the legendary chaotic fiend celestial could explain it. Wait. Then, what was his father? Was he also a chaotic fiend celestial? The difference in potential between the chaotic fiend celestials was also great? Han Tuo couldn't figure it out, but after hearing the evil heavenly emperor's story, he suddenly didn't dare to expect to surpass Hanju. He only hoped to satisfy him. 1,000 years passed. Hanju opened his eyes and deduced Han Tuo. This fellow had left the heavenly Tao for a period of time. His cultivation level had been increasing, but the dark forbidden zone was still very dangerous. After calculating with his fingers, Hanju's expression became strange. He deduced that there was a familiar Providence beside Han Tuo. Evil heavenly emperor. Providence was very mysterious. Not only was there providence in the heavenly Tao, but there was also providence in the chaos. It was the providence of the great Tao. This kid. Hanju suddenly discovered that Han Tuo's path was very similar to his. Along the way, he encountered the care of immortal Emperor Samsara and the heavenly emperor. However, the evil heavenly emperor was ultimately on the wrong path. Hanju was still a little worried. I want to know what will happen if Han Tuo follows the evil heavenly emperor? Hanju asked in his mind. Continue. Hanju's consciousness entered the illusion. He opened his eyes and discovered that he had arrived at a huge meteor. Countless figures were standing around him. Not only on the meteor, but countless figures were also floating in the surrounding space. They were all dressed in black armor and surrounded by a black aura. They were all looking in one direction. Evil Heavenly Emperor. The evil Heavenly Emperor sat on a stone chair with a domineering attitude. In front of him stood 3 figures emitting a terrifying aura. Among them were Han Tuo and Yi Tian. Hanju narrowed his eyes. He noticed that Han Tuo's state was like that of a freedom sage. His freedom aura was visible to the naked eye. Yi Tian said in a low voice, "Your Majesty, we are ready." The evil Heavenly Emperor slowly stood up. The entire dark space distorted as a domineering aura erupted, sweeping through the dark forbidden zone. Immortal gods of the Heavenly Court, I have established the Heavenly Court for several eras. The Heavenly Court has unified the dark forbidden zone and swept through the deity realm of the ruins of End. We have destroyed the inauspicious evil, expelled the Tao devils, and protected hundreds of little heavenly Tao. You are my proudest soldiers. Now, an unprecedented enemy is about to arrive. We can't retreat. If we do, the heavenly Tao will definitely be destroyed. Are you prepared to fight for the honor of Heavenly Court? The evil Heavenly Emperor's voice was filled with dominance, causing all the immortals of the Heavenly Court to reply in unison, I am willing to sacrifice my body and soul for your majesty. Several eras. Hanju thought that the evil Heavenly Emperor would be plotted against in a few years. He didn't expect him to still be able to sweep through the deity realm of the ruins of End. Hanju saw a light appear in the darkness behind the evil heavenly emperor. It quickly expanded and illuminated the dark forbidden zone. Han Tua suddenly jumped up and took out a golden spear with black patterns. He roared hoarsely, "He's here! Prepare for battle!" A terrifying figure emerged from Han Tuo's body. It was the Dharma idol of a chaotic fiend celestial. Etian roared at the sky. His body quickly grew taller and transformed into a terrifying figure that was 10 million feet tall. His upper body was like a human and his lower body was like a flood dragon. His muscles were like they were cast from iron. He had 3 heads and 6 arms and had a sinister expression. As his white hair fluttered, 4 vertical eyes appeared on his face. Hanju saw that light rushing over at an extremely terrifying speed. The surrounding immortals of the heavenly court instantly turned into dust. The illusion shattered. In a daze, Hanju saw that half of the evil heavenly emperor's body had also turned into dust. When he opened his eyes again, Hanju's consciousness had already returned to reality. He frowned. Who was the heavenly court facing? Although it happened several eras later, when facing such an unknown opponent, he had to know in advance and prepare in advance. Hanju liked to kill the terrifying big boss in his cradle. How dangerous would it be when the enemy came knocking on his door? I want to know who the enemy that the heavenly court encountered in the illusion was? Hanju asked in his mind. It involves karma that surpasses the current limits of the system. It cannot be deduced. So powerful? Hanju frowned. Could it be that the Tao ancestor had turned evil? No, it might be the mysterious existence that forced the Tao ancestor to disappear. Unable to figure it out, Hanju could only give up. It was still a long time away. In other words, it was a good thing that Han Tua followed the evil heavenly emperor. As for the terrifying existence he encountered in the end, it was not targeted at the heavenly court, but the entire chaos. In that case, it was good to let Han Tua follow the evil heavenly emperor. It could be considered making up for the fact that Hanju didn't serve the evil heavenly emperor back then. I have to reevaluate the evil heavenly emperor. He should only hate the heavenly Tao sages and still care about the heavenly Tao. Hanju thought. He looked at great loose heaven. Hanju thought. Among his disciples, Tao Sovereign was still far from attaining the Tao. There was no need to mention the others. It took a long time for a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal to reach the Pseudo-Sage realm. It was even more so for an early stage and perfected Pseudo-Sage. How did the sages outside the heavenly Tao break through? Hanju felt that the primordial purple chi was not necessary. There had to be another way. He would see in the future. Hanju continued to pay attention to the other outer sect disciples of the hidden sect. It was very difficult to cultivate in the freedom realm. Hanju couldn't relax. His goal was to catch up to the great Tao sages and surpass them. Spring passed and autumn came. The situation in the immortal world changed. Another 2,000 years passed. There were no longer any demons in the immortal world. The ancient race and the famous race were on opposite sides. The number of living beings was immeasurable. Hanju ended his seclusion again and opened his eyes. He habitually checked his emails. The recent emails were no different from the past. No information attracted him for the time being. It was worth mentioning that the outside of the heavenly Tao was still ravaged by the inauspicious evil and Tao devils. Hanju closed the emails, and his sage sense swept through the immortal world. He suddenly discovered that rolling chaotic chi was gathered on the east side of the immortal world. It was like a long bridge that disappeared into the darkness. Hanju pinched his fingers to deduce and discovered that he couldn't see anything. He placed his gaze outside the 33rd heaven. At this moment, the sages were gathered in the Universal Hall as if they were discussing something. Even the Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage was there. Heavenly Venerate Xian Du gestured for Hanju to sit beside him. Hanju didn't stand on ceremony and sat on his left. The sages were moved. The other sages also found it strange. Heavenly Venerate Shendu said, I think we can give it a try. All of you, review the history. Don't you realize that the world created by giant god Pango has been shrinking? Every time the sages fight, the Tao ancestor will take the opportunity to split the heavenly Tao heaven and earth. Where did those worlds that were split go? The sages all looked at the Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage. The Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage snorted. Aren't you from the deity realm of the ruins of End? Heavenly Venerate Shendu said, Indeed, but you and I were born in the heavenly Tao. We can't forget our roots. I'll first declare that I'm severing ties with the deity realm of the ruins of End's human school. From now on, the human school will be divided into the heavenly Tao human school and the ruins of End human school. The sages were moved. How ruthless! Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage was also shocked as his eyelids twitched. This was a declaration of war. Heavenly Venerate Xiandu looked at the South Extreme Heavenly Venerate and Sect Master Tianju. From today onwards, the Jie School will be divided into the Heavenly Tao Jie School and the ruins of En Jie School. The Heavenly Tao Jie School will only serve the Heavenly Tao. From today onwards, the Chan School will be divided into the Heavenly Tao Chan School and the ruins of En Chan School. The Heavenly Tao Chan School will only serve the Heavenly Tao. The two sages expressed their stand. Chou Shilai, Emperor Shao, and Heavenly Venerate Wufao were the same. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage was silent. Hanju's body was covered by divine light. No one saw his mocking expression. He wanted to see what the Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage would do in this situation. Should he continue enduring the humiliation or overturn the chessboard? Fang Liang, Li Daokong, and Shi Dudao also looked at Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage. The atmosphere became strange. Hee hee. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage suddenly sneered. As he closed his eyes, a terrifying aura erupted, wreaking havoc in the divine palace. You want to force me with your identity as a heavenly Tao sage? Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage's tone was sinister, and his words were filled with killing intent. Heavenly Venerate Xiandu said calmly, Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage, are you fighting as a pawn or for yourself? You can choose. If you want to jump out of your brother's control, this will be the best opportunity. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage suddenly stood up, startling the other sages. He raised his right hand, and flames burned in his palm. A black bell emitting an ancient aura slowly rose from the flames. The sages took out their Dharma treasures and prepared to fight. The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate mocked. Eastern Emperor, you want to kill a Heavenly Tao sage in the Heavenly Tao? How ridiculous! Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage glanced at the sages disdainfully and said, Do you know why the deity realm of the ruins of En sent me here? It's because your rebellious nature has long been exposed. When I fused with the Heavenly Tao, you had already failed. Boom! A terrifying suction force erupted from the black bell in the Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage's hand. The universal hall shook violently. The sages were shocked. They felt something being extracted from their bodies. What power is this? Chiu Shilai said in anger, He's absorbing our heavenly Tao Providence. Once the providence of the heavenly Tao was sucked dry, only one path waited for them. Death. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage laughed wildly. Do you understand how stupid you are? A pawn wants to jump out of the chessboard? Are you qualified? Boom! The black bell shook violently. The terrifying suction force was still increasing, preventing the sages from moving even if they tried their best. The difference in cultivation was too great. Hanju stood up, and a domineering aura dispersed the black bell's suction force. The sages regained control of their bodies and flashed behind Hanju. Shi Dudao looked at Hanju's back in shock. So strong! The moment he stood up, He dispersed the suction force that made him despair. The Tao Seekers cultivating outside the 33rd heaven fled. Only the cultivators of Chaotic City could continue guarding. Zhou Fan stood on the city wall and looked at the Universal Hall with a frown. The disciples of the various sects began to discuss what had happened. In the Universal Hall, Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage narrowed his eyes and said, "Sect Master of the Hidden Sect, Hanju, do you really want to stop me? Didn't you say that you won't be affected by karma and won't cause trouble?" Hanju said indifferently, "If you want to harm the heavenly Tao, I have no choice but to make a move. You've only just entered the Freedom Realm. Do you really think you're my match?" "You." The Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage frowned. He was very afraid of Hanju. The deity realm of the ruins of En's plan had been destroyed by him time and time again. No one knew Hanju's true depth. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage wanted to continue speaking when Hanju suddenly attacked. The primordial judgment sword appeared in his hand, and he slashed out with it. Mystical power, unparalleled sword chi. The domineering sword chi instantly shattered the Universal Hall. The sages behind Hanju were also killed. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage's expression changed drastically. He raised the bell to block, but he was still sent flying. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage's robes fluttered as he stabilized himself with a terrified expression. This fellow sword chi, has he really just entered the Freedom Realm? He stared fixedly at the vast sand formed by the Universal Hall. He saw terrifying Dharma idols slowly stand up and disperse the dust. The 9 fiend celestial Dharma idols above Hanju's head approached Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage. The sages who were affected earlier condensed their bodies and retreated far away. They didn't expect Hanju to accidentally injure them in order to deal with Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage. Li Daokong was also shocked. Sect Master was really ruthless. Hanju raised the primordial judgment sword. The 9 fiend celestial Dharma idols fused together and transformed into a terrifying force that entered the blade. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage took out the black belt. The bell rang, and all living beings in the world were stunned. The chaotic space distorted. Hanju suddenly felt a mysterious force crossing the river of time to target him. This feeling was very strange, but it did exist. Mighty figures could guard against enemies by attacking their past selves. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, stars. Detected that the Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage has crossed the river of time and wants to harm the past you. Do you want to use the system to resist? Yes. Hanju saw the notification in front of him and chose yes. With the system around, he could focus on the battle ahead. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage was something. He could actually harm his past self in front of him. The power of time was very difficult to show in the simulation trial. Hanju still underestimated Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage's strength. Hanju waved his sword and slashed. The great Tao mystical power, primordial divine rage, swept out with the power of the 9 fiend celestial Dharma idols. The sword chi swept past Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage at an extremely fast speed. A terrifying black crack that was unknown in the chaotic space tore open. Too fast! The sages couldn't see the sword chi at all. Even someone as strong as Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage couldn't react in time and was reduced to dust. Almost instantly, Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage condensed his body again. The Heavenly Tao Sage was undying and indestructible. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage's expression was extremely ugly. He raised the black bell and aimed its mouth at Hanju. Countless golden crows flew out from the black bell and surged towards Hanju. The sage Tao fields along the way turned into dust one after another. The sages watched from afar and did not dare to approach. In front of a freedom sage, heavenly Tao sages were like ants. Hanju condensed the Devourer Fiend celestial Dharma idol. His figure was like a giant demon. He opened his huge black hole-like mouth and swallowed countless golden crows. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage cursed silently. Why can't I capture the past him? Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage frowned in confusion. He had relied on this mystical power to dominate the same realm. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. Hanju didn't care what he thought. He condensed the Imprisonment Fiend Celestial and the Traversal Fiend Celestial, fusing the two powers into his body. Almost instantly, Hanju moved behind Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage. The other party vanished into thin air, and Hanju traveled again. The two sages chased each other, their figures leaving behind dazzling afterimages outside the 33rd heaven. The sages were dazzled. Sherdudao clenched his fists in his sleeves and gritted his teeth. What speed is this? No! It's no longer speed, it's Dao. That's right, Hanju and Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage's movement was no longer speed, but Dao's judgment. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of millions of shadows appeared and occupied the void. Several breaths later, Hanju struck Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage's back with his palm. The great Dao of imprisonment erupted and instantly imprisoned him. How can this be? Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage was shocked. What great Dao was this? It actually made his freedom power unable to be activated. Hanju had already used more than one great Dao power. What kind of existence was this kid? Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage had no choice but to control the Black Bell to protect him. Hanju condensed dozens of chaotic fiend celestial Dharma idols and surrounded the Black Bell. Boom! The Black Bell shattered and turned into countless stars that scattered as if a sea of stars had suddenly been born. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage's eyes widened in disbelief. 100 times. 1,000 times. 10,000 times. 100,000 times. 1,000,000 times. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage was in despair. He had self-destructed 1,000,000 times but still couldn't escape his fate of being imprisoned. Hanju was too serious. Even Sherdudao was terrified. He wasn't afraid that the enemy was powerful and invincible, but that he was also so difficult to deal with. Being targeted by Hanju was definitely a nightmare. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage was still reviving and Hanju was still chasing after him. After 10 million revivals, Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage couldn't take it anymore. Hanju, you're too ruthless. Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage roared hoarsely. He self-destructed again. This time, he did not revive. Instead, he turned into countless flames that swept in all directions and quickly escaped the heavenly Dao. This mystical power was extremely strange. Hanju couldn't sense its aura at all. However, he could clearly sense that Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage had already left the heavenly Dao. He escaped? Hanju frowned. He couldn't find Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage even if he used the simulation trial. Dichuan's hatred toward you has increased. Current hatred points, stars. Complete enemy. Hanju sighed. In the past, he had a good impression of Dichuan. Unfortunately, this fellow's future was bleak. Will you live well if you offend me? Although Hanju was cowardly, he knew his limits. As long as he didn't leave the heavenly Dao, Dichuan wouldn't be able to kill him and would instead be tortured to death. Hanju didn't curse Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage immediately. He could do it after some time. At that time, he would curse Dichuan to death and let Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage wallow in fear and despair. Hanju closed his eyes and started cultivating. At the same time, the immortal world and the myriad worlds in the universe were still in various calamities. Even the aftermath of the Battle of the Sages was enough to form a calamity. The sages had no choice but to clean up the aftermath. Even so, countless living beings had died. The sages wouldn't blame Hanju for this. Instead, they admired him very much. If he didn't chase Eastern Emperor Heaven Sage away, all living beings would suffer even more casualties in the future. Immortal world, above the clouds. Hanyu kept casting spells. The rain fell and extinguished the heavenly fire in the human city below. These heavenly flames were extremely sinister. Unless one was at the Emperor realm, it was very difficult to extinguish them. The current human race was weak. There were only a few immortal emperors, and they couldn't go around saving people. Hanyu looked up and frowned. He thought to himself, who is it? They actually harmed our human race like this. His eyes burned with anger. Although he came from the mortal world, he had always believed in his human identity. During his travels in the immortal world, if the humans were in trouble, he would definitely help them if he could. This was also thanks to Li Daokong. When Li Daokong preached, he often instructed him that if he became stronger in the future, he had to take care of the humans. Li Daokong felt that the human race shouldn't be in such a sorry state. In the previous calamity, if not for the interference of the sages, the human race wouldn't have lost its identity as a heavenly Dao race. An hour later, Hanyu left to save the humans in the other cities. This was only a minority. Not only the humans, but the cultivators of the various races were also thinking of ways to save their races. The calamity caused by this battle caused the immortal world to fall into a short period of peace. In less than a year, with the help of the sages, the natural disasters in the myriad worlds were all eliminated. In the blink of an eye. Another 1,000 years passed. Hanju opened his eyes and stretched. He said, "Come in." Outside the Taoist temple, Wang Hao had been kneeling for 4 years. Hearing this, Wang Hao stood up excitedly and opened the Taoist temple's door. After bowing to Hanju, he said, "Master, my cultivation level is stuck at the late stage Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm and can't increase anymore. Can you let me out?" Hao Tian said that he has a way to let me break through.